to when they go out of stock. Obviously, loss in revenue is a major is a significant consequence, right? Decline in market share, because once your product goes out of stock, your competitor might move in, and your consumers, customers might actually shift to the competitor product. So you might lose market share in the short and medium and long term. And of course, you lose credibility and brand equity when and brand recognition and brand equity is lost when the customer goes and it's out of stock, good is out of stock. Right. So these are some of the common the two main mistakes most companies make when it comes to inventory. Most companies are either overstocked in their warehouse or understocked, where they go out of stock essentially. Right. So with that, so where would these two scenarios manifest? When you think about it, right, it's at the warehouse, right? So you are either out of stock or overstock. Manifests at a warehouse. But if you really look at the life cycle of a product or an SKU, what you first do is you first order, you place an order for that SKU with the supplier, right? And there could be some lead time in delivery, and the good is sort of delivered. There could be inspection and clearance. It could be at the port. It could be at your end, at your company inspection sites. And then the good is the SKU is warehoused, and from the warehouse you either distribute the SKU or you use the SKU as to manufacture and produce another set of goods. Right. So this is typically the life cycle of a product within the company. Right. However, like I said, the under or overstocking manifests at the warehouse. Right. However, when you really look at the life cycle of the product, the only opportunity for you to have an impact on your stock levels or on your inventory is at the order placement level, right? Because delivery, inspection, all these are probably out of your control, right? Only at the order placement stage do you have some control on what your stocks or inventory would be. Right? So it's important we understand this connection, this link as well. So if you want to maintain that like ideal level of inventory, rather not go out of stock nor go overstock, right? That sweet spot that you want to hit. Really, if you really look at it, the only opportunity you have within the product life cycle, within the life cycle of the product in your company, is at the order placement level. So that's also a key point that I would like to talk about, which will be relevant in the subsequent slides and the demonstration as well. Right. So let's now look at why. So now all companies, all of you probably know the consequences of being either overstocked or understocked, or rather not maintaining your inventory at this optimal level that you'd like it to be, right? But knowing all this, but still companies on either end of the spectrum. Let's look at why. Why do companies actually? Why is it difficult to plan inventory? Like I said earlier, the things, the only opportunity you have on to make an impact on your inventory is at the stage where you place the order with your supplier, right? So at this juncture, when placing an order, you need to consider lots of constraints, lots of parameters, right? One of them, the main parameters you obviously look at is demand, right? So, and lead time, right? So for example, if the supply lead time is say 3 months, if it takes 3 months for the goods to be delivered from the supplier, right? You need to really understand what your demand for that product is going to be for the next 3 months. Essentially, you need a forecast. You need to really understand know with high level of accuracy what your demand is going to be over the next 3 months, right? But unfortunately, there's so many dynamics at play when it comes to predicting demand. Most apart from seasonality and trend, which most companies just focus on, right? Like I said earlier, competitive activities, inflation, GDP, some macro factors, of course, play a role in demand, in predicting or forecasting demand. Rainfall, weather also plays a significant role in most SKUs. That's based on our experience, right? And in addition, of course, your internal activities, internal marketing activities, price, all these contribute towards demand over the next probably 3 months that you need to consider. So it's important that when you place the order, that you're aware of the factors that drive demand and have a good accurate demand forecast, right? And of course, supply lead times, right? So that's a big uncertainty there, right? Suppliers, of course, you expect goods to be delivered a supply lead time of say 3 months, but due to lots of external and probably internal dynamics, it might get delayed, right? So there's some uncertainty around supply lead time, and of course there's uncertainty around demand as well, right? So when you place the order, it's important that you have a good sense. You actually factor or consider these demand and supply uncertainties when you place an order. If not, like I mentioned earlier, you might not be able to achieve these optimal or ideal inventory levels right. As a result, you might go either overstock or understock. Right. In addition, there's lots of other constraints, parameters that you need to look at. There's expiries of the current stock levels you need to be aware of. I'm sorry. There's MOQs, minimum order quantities you need to look at, be aware of. Operational constraints such as warehouse limitations, resource constraints, efficiency, distribution efficiencies, all these need to be looked at. And of course, disruptions in the supply chain as well, right? I mean, I think the entire world is experiencing disruptions in the supply chain these days. So this is a very, very relevant, pertinent factor that you also need to consider, right? The other thing is, most companies, because of these sort of external dynamics that you should look at when you place an order, right? Like such as supply disruptions in the supply chain, demand variations, lead time uncertainties, right? It's important that your ordering also is very agile, right? So in this very dynamic environment, right, the factors that were presented to you probably 2 weeks back are vastly different from those that you have to face probably 2 weeks later, right now, right? So it's also important that these disruptions, these sudden changes in the external environment also get captured in the ordering process. If not, your ordering philosophy will be an outdated one, and as a result, will lead to either overstock or understock situation, right? So agility is also important, and is something that most companies sort of right now struggle with. How do we react to these sudden changes? And of course, credit periods. If you import goods, credit periods and exchange rate uncertainties also come into play in these, especially during these times, right? So amongst all, right? So when you place an order, right, if you really want to if you want to make a positive impact on your inventory, right, the only stage you have to sort of make that is at the order placement stage. But unfortunately, there are so many dynamics at play and need to be considered when you place an order, right? Now this can probably be done manually for probably 1 or 2 SKUs, right? Humanly, right? At most, right? Juggling all these parameters, but if you're managing hundreds or thousands of SKUs, right, and you place thousands of orders, lots of orders per month, this becomes virtually impossible to do manually, right? So that's why if you really granularize this ordering, if you want to place orders at for multiple SKUs across multiple locations, multiple regions. So now the complexity sort of explodes exponentially, right? So it's important. So these are some of the sort of issues or constraints that companies face when they try to plan their inventory. And these are some based on our experience. Some of the issues, some of the constraints that you need to be aware of. Yeah. So with that. Before we move on to the demo, there is a short video of our inventory module, introducing our inventory module. So I'd like to play that, and Sandrika can take over after the video, and we can have a Q&A session at the end. Let me.
Rajat, sorry to interrupt, but we can't hear the sound. Do you think you could replay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me. Sorry about that. I didn't. Asang, can you see my screen?
Yes, Rajat, we can see your screen, but unfortunately we can't hear the video.
Yeah.
Business for which he needs to maintain inventory. This was Harper. Meet Harper. Harper runs a business for which he needs to maintain inventory. This was Harper last month. Unfortunately, Harper was losing revenue because he was out of stock. Harper was very sad. This was Harper the month before. Harper was worried about wastage and working capital because he was overstocked. Harper was very, very sad. Harper is very sad because this happens to Harper all the time. Harper is very frustrated too because he has tried many tools and systems, but none of them have worked for him. Many businesses like Harper's are tired of cumbersome rule-based inventory planning systems that does not seem to be accounting for demand fluctuations as well as supply fluctuations. Yet, they cost a fortune. That is why we developed Forecast Squared inventory planning module for people like Harper and hundreds and thousands of businesses that are struggling with inventory planning. Let us tell you a little bit about how it helped Harper. Forecast Squared inventory planning is an AI-powered system that automatically generates optimal ordering plans so that Harper can keep his inventory level just right. This is how it works. First, Harper generates demand forecasts from the powerful demand forecasting module. He can generate hundreds or thousands of accurate demand forecasts with just a few clicks. Then, he combines demand forecast with data on current inventory, pending inventory, and information in the item master. With a click of a button, Harper calls a custom-built AI algorithm, which will consume all of that information and generate an order plan. It is that simple. Once the order plan is generated, Harper can view the future inventory projection based on the proposed order plan. He can easily change the proposed plan if anything needs to be tweaked. The changes Harper made automatically reflects in his inventory projection. Harper loves the fact that he is proactively alerted on possible out-of-stock, excess stock, and wastage situations that can occur in the future. Also, he can now share information about the planning process and plan collaboratively with his colleagues. Forecast squared inventory planning is the future of inventory planning. It may be able to make you happy just like the way it made Harper happy. Schedule a demo to learn more.
Hello. Yeah. So with that, I'll let Santika. You can continue with the demo.
Yeah. Thanks, Rajit. Hi guys, welcome. My name is Chandika. I'll be taking you through the demo for today. So before we get into the demo, just want to give you a small explanation of what I'm demoing today. So you see a set of SKUs here. These are a set of SKUs that is available in a particular region for the company called Purple Fox. And what we're trying to do is, and that particular region is handled by one warehouse, and what we're trying to do is optimize the inventory in that particular warehouse that's supplying the whole region with these products. So with that said, let me get right into the demo. So in Rajit's presentation, there was talk about a few factors that affect good inventory planning. So the first factor that he talked about was a good demand plan. So you need to have a somewhat accurate demand plan in order for you to get a good inventory, optimized inventory plan. So through Forecast Squared, through the forecast module in Forecast Squared, what we do is we give you that ability to get a very accurate demand forecast. So let me just skim through how we do that. It's when it comes to demand forecasting, there are multiple ways you can do a forecasting. So you can just look at the trend and seasonality factors of the particular demand, be it a sales, be it for a particular product, you can predict that. But there can be other factors affecting it. In this case, we have a few factors affecting demand for this particular product. So there's unit price, there's inflation rate, and there's a discount percentage, as well as whether it has gone out of stock or not in the past. So these are the factors that we look at for this particular product, but there can be other products that have different factors, like such as rainfall. And Rajit mentioned if you're trying to import something and sell it here, there can be effects from exchange rate. That's one way that we look at improving the forecasted demand. The other way is for a given set of products, we look at the best model that is suited for each and every product. So let's say, for example, you have 10 SKUs. In here, we have actually 15 SKUs in our product portfolio here. For each of the 15 SKUs, the algorithm will pick the best suited model, be it a machine learning model or be it a time series model or even a simple model as moving average. It will pick the best model and cater the model towards the data available for that particular SKU, so that you get the most accurate forecast possible. So that's a very high level view on how we make the demand forecast very accurate. I just want to touch on it because the main focus for today is the inventory module. But if you want to sort of get a more in-depth understanding of this, we've done in-depth analysis on this in our previous webinar, so you can go and have a look at that in our YouTube channel. So let me just show you one more thing before we go on to the inventory module. So we've given the opportunity to the user once the forecast is generated, just to take a view on it, and just to understand what has happened with the forecast. So in this particular forecast, there's a negative 10% growth based on the past data, right? So that means that it's trending downwards. And same here. On average, negative 2% growth. For this particular SKU, there's a 12% growth compared to the past data. So this just gives you some visibility to the user. Just to give them an idea on how the SKUs are behaving. So what we do now is we save this particular forecast, and that forecast is what's going to be one of the inputs that we use for inventory planning. So let me just quickly switch to the inventory module. Right, so inventory module, this is what your home page is going to look like. We made it simple. You have the tabs on the left, similar to the forecast module. So before we get into the saved forecast from the forecast module, I just want to take you through some of the other data that we use for inventory planning. So as you can see, you have 3 tabs over here. You have the item information, pending deliveries, and current inventory. So item information. Item information contains data that is what we consider sort of static data, mostly static data for certain SKUs. So we have things like the unit price, the shelf life, standard lead time, standard lead time deviation, the ordering frequency, the expected inventory days that you want to keep, as well as MOQ. So these are some of the factors. I think Rajit mentioned them as well, that factors that we use and that affect a good inventory plan. Next, we have the pending deliveries, which, of course, the name itself says the orders that still are in transit and are yet to arrive in your warehouse, and just gives you an idea of what the quantities are as well as when they are arriving and a set expiration date for that particular pending delivery. Then you have the current inventory, which of course gives you an idea of what your current inventory that you hold in your warehouse is, and sort of when it's expiring. So that all the 3 pillars, are sorted out there. So let me move on to generating a plan. So this is the forecast that we saved. I saved it today. Let me just go into the forecast, and you can see all your SKUs are available for planning. Everything is ticked. You have the data to start forecasting, and you see some of the alerts have been activated as well. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but this is sort of the view that you get when you go into generate plans. So prior to generating the plan, you might want to get an understanding of what the current status of stock is. So just give it a second to load. This gives you a sort of snapshot based on the current inventory that you have, the demand forecast, as well as the pending stock, how long you can have your inventory, right? So in this particular, for American cheeseburger patty, you're going to run out of stock probably by, by December for this particular SKU. So just have some idea before going ahead on that as well. So what you can do is you have all the information that you need to initiate an inventory plan. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start planning. I'm going to say July 21 demo plan. Along with my keyboard there. Yeah, I'm just going to go and hit generate. And you'll see in a minute that the plan has been successfully submitted to the queue and it's been generated. So now what's happening is in the backend, it's looking at all your demand forecast, its particular variations that have happened over the past. It's looking at your item information, it's looking at your pending deliveries, it's looking at your current inventory, and putting that all together and generating the most optimal inventory plan. So if you want to get an idea of what the status of this is, you can just go and click on the bell icon here. And yeah, you can get an idea of, okay, still nothing has been generated yet. So it will run for a few minutes and you'll be able to see it. So while that is running, I have already generated a sample plan for the purpose of the demo. I'm just going to go into that, head into that, and just show you what a finished an output plan, proposed plan would look like, right? So this is it. So you have all your SKUs on the left here. You can select one by one. I've selected all in my case. You have your SKU related information, just like a snapshot of it. The lead time, the replacement level, and all that. And this is your order plan. So this is the plan telling you you need to order this quantity and you can expect it to arrive by this date, right? So this is sort of the output of this whole exercise. Then, based on this order plan, if you do order, it will show you what your inventory is going to look like at the bottom here in the green table. So you can understand, when it's going to when the pending stocks are going to hit, and whereas when the planning stocks are, and as you can see, it's not going out of stock and it's maintaining your configured level of inventory as well. So that workflow is what you would expect in your day-to-day inventory planning, provided you don't have massive shocks to your supply chain or massive demand shocks or anything like that. But unfortunately, in the environment that we live in, there can be certain unexpected things that can happen. Like, for example, what's happening these days, COVID. And because of COVID, there are lockdowns. There can be certain demand spikes and demand losses. And that can also affect your inventory as well. Also, there can be other effects like, shipping delays, maybe even sometimes the supplier can say, okay, I have a stock ready, I can send it to you a bit early, something like that as well. So things like that can happen, and you need to be able to react to those and get the optimal plan. So that's why we wanted to make our tool a bit more agile in order to react to those and to give the user the opportunity to input those and generate a plan. So it's not just a user clicking buttons and getting something out. It's the user has to get involved in the process as well when it is required. So it's sort of similar to Tesla's autopilot, where if you're on a normal highway, you can just let go of. You can sort of concentrate less. You're not supposed to let go of the steering wheel, but maybe concentrate a bit less and let the car drive itself. But when the car identifies some situation where it can't figure things out, it tells you, okay, now I need your help. Tell me what to do. Right? So that's sort of the philosophy that we have when building this tool as well. So let me just show you how we try to implement that and just give you some context on that. Right. The first way, how we do is, let's say, for example, for beef patties. For beef patties, we have received word saying, okay, your lead time is going to be a bit higher this time. So what we can do is we have ability to edit any of these factors so that you can change it and tweak it based on what the situation is currently and generate the plan based on that. It's a very simple tweak. You just do the filter, search it, edit it, and you can just save it. So I'm going to change this to maybe 90. Let's change to 90. So it's going to ask you to save it. Right. So similarly, you can change any of the information with regard to pending deliveries, current inventory, and any other information within the item inventory. So this is a very simple implementation, but this gives the user some flexibility on changing some of the factors relating to inventory planning. So that's number one. The other one, of course, is, yes, we do give an accurate demand forecast, but there are some things that maybe a demand forecast cannot capture. For example, in this context, so as you can see, these are mainly food products that are being supplied. Maybe there's a new restaurant chain opening up within that particular region, and that is sort of leading to a high demand for a certain set of products, right? So because of that, your finance team or maybe your planning team, whoever it is, has come up with a forecast saying, okay, based on their data, their separate crunching of data, saying that, okay, we think this is what the demand for this product will look like in the coming months, right? So I'm just going to name this as finance forecast. And they're going to say, okay, first few months, it's going to be very high, about 10,000 units higher. So that they can also build up the stock, and it's going to go down to 30,000. That. Right, and I'm going to save it. So you have, this is what the forecast is look like. It's very linear, but I mean, you can, that can be changed, but that's what the forecast looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and select this as the forecast, not the system generator forecast, because this is a special situation for this particular product. So let me just go ahead and close that. And if you can see, forecast type selected for this particular product is the finance forecast. Right. So that's one way of handling an issue there, right? So the other one I want to talk about are these alerts, right? These alerts sort of give you some visibility into what's happening with your inventory that you currently have. So if I go here into the alert configuration, so you have the three alerts, right, with the colors. So you have your expiration alert, out of stock, excess stock, and registration expiration alert. So expiration risk alert is going to alert you whenever you're going to sort of run out of stock. When your stocks are going to expire. Sorry, I misspoke there. Expiration risk alert is going to alert you when your stocks are going to expire. Out of stock, as the name itself says, within this particular this set of days, if your stock is going to go out, it's going to alert you. Excess stock is opposite of that. If you're even after 60 days, if you're still sort of holding stock, it's going to alert you, saying that okay, you have too much stock in your hand. You might be losing. You might be having sort of capital tied down on the stock. And the last one, registration expiration alert, right? So for some, why we wanted to include this is there are some products that might require a license, a registration license before you import it. So this is mainly with imported products. So you might need to obtain that license, and only after that you are able to place orders and certain things like that. So we give you that option as well. In my current context, I don't think there are any SKUs which require registration, so you're not going to see any alerts. But if you do, you will see that alert as well based on the configuration that you set. So that's giving you visibility on about your inventory as well. The other one, now I showed you the data manager earlier, where everything, all the current inventory forecast, the item information as well as the pending inventory data is available. But let's say you want to look at it from a SKU perspective. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. So if you just click this quick information, you can see like a snapshot of that particular SKU. You have your SKU information. You have the past 6 months demand. This is his historical demand, what it has been, and based on that, you can get like an average 6 months and 3 months average. We just show that to you as well for some references. And you have your current inventory, what's available in your warehouse as of now, and what's to come in the future as well, and when it's coming. So this just gives you a snapshot as well, so you don't have to keep going back and forth with the information that you have already. And of course, now I changed the finance forecast I changed from the system forecast to the finance forecast. And okay, I did that change, but I mean, you might want to have a record of why I did that change, maybe certain notes on why I do some changes. So what you can do is you can go into sort of a notes section and add a note here. You can go and add a new note, and these notes will appear anywhere where this SKU is used, and you can refer that and understand maybe why some changes have been done. So it's collaborative process. So one person can plan, and when the next person comes, it's not a totally new picture for them. They also have some context to go on why you made some of the decisions that you made, right? So that's that. Let me go to the last section, view plans, and just show you our last sort of feature that we added to make it a bit more engaging for the user to sort of engage with the product. Let me go to another SKU. Yeah, there we go. So here you have the order plan here, right? So this is a suggested order plan, but maybe for some reason you might want to tweak this a bit based on certain X number of factors, right? So maybe you think this order is this particular order that I'm showing you right now is maybe a bit low. Let's make it a rounded 4,000, right? So this order is supposed to be coming in on the 9th month, which is September. And you're going to see this value. This is the plan stock based on the current values that we had. This is the stock, and these are the particular figures that you have based on the pending delivery. So once you change it and you confirm, those values change, and it gives you a reflection of how your inventory days, how your inventory value changes as well. So it's like once you make the change, it gives you the reflection of what's happening to your stock as well. So that's the last piece. That's sort of an idea of what the inventory module does, how it takes your forecast data as well as data from data related to your SKUs such as MOQ, shelf life, lead times, as well as your current inventory and your pending inventory, and gives you the most optimal order plan that would reduce your inventory wastage and overstocking both. So that optimal in Rajit's presentation, it'll be in the needle will be in the middle, not to any other sides. So that's it from my side, guys. Asangi, over to you.
Thank you, Chandika. I hope everyone have a good idea of how our forecast squared inventory planning module works, how easy it is to use it to not only generate accurate demand forecasts but to plan your inventory so much faster, so much more easier, and with so much more information than what you probably have been doing so far. Before we move on to the Q&A session, I'd like to remind everybody of our BYOD session, which is happening currently. So BYOD is Bring Your Own Data. I will post this particular slide on the chat. You all can use the link on the slide to book a session with us. I'll give you a small brief as to how this works. What happens is we will give our forecast squared system and also 1.5 hours of our data science expertise. All you have to do is bring your information, bring your data, any SKU information that you'd like to generate a demand forecast and plan your inventory for. We will sit together while using your data and using our system. We will show you how to generate an accurate demand forecast as well as an inventory plan. It's a free to attend session, so please do make use of this opportunity. I must say, please hurry up and book your session because there are only limited slots. The last few weeks have been a very busy month for us. We have had multiple sessions with multiple customers for this particular program, so time slots are limited. So do hurry up and book your session. And while I post this particular slide on the chat, we can now move on to the Q&A session. If anyone wants to speak to the presenters directly, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. If not, you could type your question on the chat and I will pass them on to the presenters. Okay, so we have a question from Justin. The question is, what is the pricing of this product? So I'm going to let Rajit answer this question.
Sure. Hi, Justin. So our pricing actually depends on two factors. One is we charge a setup fee, which is a one-time setup fee to integrate our solution with your databases, because we need to convert the data with the data in a specific format template. So we need to set it up, do the integration. So there's a one-time setup fee. And apart from that, we charge a monthly recurring fee, which is based on the number of SKUs or demand forecasts and the inventory plans that you generate. So we can connect with you separately and discuss that definitely. But that's kind of our price. It's predominantly an OPEX model. We go with a SaaS framework, software as a service pricing framework. So we can connect individually because there are different integration dynamics and number of SKUs that. See, for example, I'll give you an example. Do you want to forecast or generate inventory plans at a national level or at a distributor level? So all these need to be looked at when we sort of finalize the forecast count and the inventory plan count. So we can connect with you individually, and we can share the pricing with you based on the requirement. Yeah.
So we have another question. Let me read that out. Can this module generate reports for various parameters? As I seen, this is kind of a dashboard module.
Yes, we can. We have a dashboard layer which runs on Power BI on top of our forecast and inventory plan module. So definitely yes, and then that dashboard layer is customized. So we basically it customized based on what you want to see and your requirements. So it's a very customized dashboard layer. We can hence therefore do what. Yeah, we can generate reports.
Have any more questions? Feel free to ask. I will repost the slide. Apparently there seems to be an issue with the link. While I do that, there's another question. Who are your current customers?
Right. So we work with one of the largest pharmaceutical importers in Sri Lanka. We also work with cement manufacturer in Sri Lanka and a multinational FMCG brand in Sri Lanka as well. We also work with another key retailer, probably the second largest in Sri Lanka, second or the largest retailer in Sri Lanka. And we have few Indian clients. One is probably like a Fortune 50 company. We work with their IT team as well in India, and we also work with a online grocery retailer in India, probably the third largest online grocery retailer in India. Yeah, those are some of our customers.
I have just reposted the slide that has the link to the BYOD session. Do check if you all are still having trouble clicking on the link. It should open up to a calendar. Do we have any more questions for our presenters? Okay, I think that's it, and we are nearing the end of our time limit for the webinar as well. Thank you very much for joining us once again. It was really good having you all. I hope you all learned something new about the product. And if you all have any more questions for us, feel free to write to us. You can write to us at info@linearsquared.com. I'm sure everyone has my email address, asangi@linearsquared.com. You could reach out to me as well, and we will answer your questions via email as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, take care and stay safe.